Hi, everyone. We are back. Actually, Lisa's back. She's behind the scenes. So if anybody wants to say hi to her, she is here. She's just not ready to come on camera yet. So we'll wait patiently while she heals. But we are back for another live, and I'm kind of excited. This one has lots of possibilities, and this is going to be a two-parter. Like, this is part one, and then next week I'm going to do a part two to it. So we're creating very simple accordion book, so you can put things on both sides. And I did it with one of Eileen's dies. And when I was talking to her this week, I said, okay, what dies do you have that are a certain size, or a size that will fit my foil papers? So it had to be smaller than 6x6. And I mean, I have all sorts of her dies that aren't current, and we didn't want to use any of those. So I measured her dies and I found one. So I'm going to show that to you. And it's kind of fun to have a way to use her dies. Hi, Isabel, Helen, Brenda. So it's nice to have a way to use her dies in another way than just the way they're meant to. Hi, Kathleen. I want to let you all know that Lisa is behind those comments. So just make sure you say hi to her, and she'll be in front of the camera soon, just not yet. She's just not ready yet. So a few comments before we get started. Make sure you like, comment, and share with the hashtag Bella Crafts to be entered for this week's giveaway that we'll give away next week. And I'll announce last week's winner at the end of this live. And join Tiffany and I tonight for the pajama party if you can. The pajama party is at 9 p.m. Central Time. Eileen Hull is our guest. So you're going to want to see that. And hey, Brenda. So we are doing, Tiffany, Eileen, and I are all doing a project tonight. So there'll be 3 different projects. And after that, we do our whatnot auctions. So if you want to join us, that would be wonderful. Hi, Helen. I got your package off to you. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get over there, but it's been sent. So I am going to switch my camera. I'm going to shut my overhead light. I think it will be best to shut it for this project. And I'm going to get started on my project. I think the lighting is just always better without that overhead light. Someday I'll get all of my lighting figured out and switched around, and I'll make it so that I don't have to do that. But I'm going to turn my computer too so I can see some of your comments. Hi, Gina. So this is what we're creating today. So it's just a little accordion journal book. And I want to show you close up. So if you haven't made these before, I want to do it this way. It just opens up, and then it opens so you can decorate both sides of it. It's really kind of cool. I'm going to show you which die of Eileen's I used for this. So this is the die I used. Can you see that? There we go. So this is the I gotta find the name. The card case. It came out last year. And this is a wonderful die in and of itself. But I wanted to use it a little bit differently. And when you cut it cuts out in one piece, so you have your front and your back. I'm showing you the black side, hoping it shows up better, but maybe the white side. Well, no, the black side. So it cuts out so that you have your folds and then you have your hinge. But I took and I wanted to use just the front and back. So I actually cut a bunch out with mat board, and I just am using the front and the back because we're making an accordion journal. So look at all of Eileen's dies and see what you can do, maybe just a little bit differently, and to use the pieces of them. And cutting it out of mat board, it gives it that sturdiness you need. Hi, Becca. Hi, Lenine. So you get that sturdiness, but it's just one more way to use Eileen's dies, which I think if you're spending the money and you have dies, you should try to get as much use out of them as you can. So these are the front and back covers of that. And then I wanted to use some of my toner sheets that were already foiled. I'm not going to foil for you today because even though it's my favorite thing to do, is the writing backward for you guys? Lisa, tell me if this writing is backward. I might have to switch my camera. You can just shake your head. It is backward? No, okay. It looks backward on my camera, so it's like, but I wanted to use some of my toner sheets. And I'm not going to do the foiling part for you today because, as you know, I love foiling and I have a bazillion of these already foiled. But I will show you, you do take the Deco foil. And there is, I have two pieces here. There is a dull side and a shiny side. You put the dull side on top of your toner paper. And you put it into a carrier sheet. Lots of times I use just copy paper. If I'm using Gina's laminator, I use the carrier sheet that comes with it. And you just run it through. And then you get beautiful foiled papers. But I have so many already done, and I thought, well, you guys have seen me do that a million times, even though I love doing it. But, foiling, and I just have such a great collection. This isn't even a dip in my collection. And if you get my papers, you can see you can even foil the cover sheet. And you can cut it for tags or do all sorts of things with it. So it's just one more way to use up what you have, right? So I have a couple of different ones that I have. This rose is one that I have two of. So I thought I would use this one for the covers. But if you use the black toner, you can also use this, and you can use black cardstock on the inside of your journal, or you can simply ink up the edges so that they're dark and you have the white inside. And so next week for my live, I'm going to show you various ways to decorate your journal. But this week, I'm just showing you how to put it together. Gina, I love watching you foil. I know. Maybe next week I will show you again. But today I'm going to use the roses. But you could also, I embossed this piece of foil paper and I double foiled it with the silver and the purple. But you could also use embossed foiled papers for the covers, and that would be beautiful too. So this project you can do in so many different ways. It's so forgiving, and there's just so much you can do with it, which is why I thought it would be a great project for today. So I'm going to take one of my covers and I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to cut a section off of here. So I'm just cutting it down, and I'm going to save this because you can use this for tags or anything that you want. You can even trim this down a little bit if you want. I'm going to trim it like that. And then I'm going to take and fold this up and fold it really tight. And then I'm going to push my mat board to make sure it's really tight. And I'm going to fold this side up. So I'm just getting those creases. And then I'm going to turn it. I'm going to open those up a little bit. And I'm holding this in place so it doesn't shift. And I'm going to fold this side up and turn it and fold. You're just getting so that you know exactly where your cover is going to go. And then I'm going to take, and you can totally just cut that corner off, but I like to take and trim this little tiny corner off of each side. And you can see it just by where you folded. So I'm just trimming that off. And get all 4 of them cut. And then I'm going to use some of my permanent tape, and I'm going to put this on here, make sure I have it where I want it. I'm going to put these 2 ends up, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm just going to run the tape across the top and fold it down really securely. It's okay if your tape came off onto your mat board a little bit, because it's all going to be covered. And do the other side. So you have those 2 sides secured, and now I just kind of clip a corner of this off. So it's not a double thickness right there, because this is cardstock and you don't want it too thick. Right there, that little extra does make it thicker. So I'm going to trim those away, and I'm going to come in and fold that down really securely. And for the other side too. So that's one cover done. I'm going to go ahead and do the second one also, because I didn't have it pre-done in advance for you. Sometimes I try to, but I thought these go quick enough. It wasn't that big of a deal. And that way you can see it done twice, and I can go a little bit quicker this time. Just fold those up, open that. And the only time you have to be super careful is if the pattern of your paper is definitely directional or it's lines, because with these flowers, it doesn't matter because they're all over. But with a pattern that's really directional, you want to make sure that it is on your cover the right way. So that's the only time you really have to be super careful about how you're folding it. But with these flowers, it's easy because they are just an all over pattern that is not going in one direction. So again, you just clip these corners. And like I said, you can come in and just clip at an angle if you want right from the beginning. I just kind of like doing it this way better. So I'm going to put these two ends up again, and I'm going to hold this and come in and secure. You can use glue if you want, a wet glue, but the tape, it's just quick. And because it's a permanent tape runner, it's secure. So you don't have to worry about it coming off. And you're going to cover this anyways. So try and get rid of all these little bits. I bet you guys think I keep all of those little bits. I'd surprise you because I don't. And I can see Lisa. You guys can't. She is laughing at that comment I just made. But yes, you would think that because I keep almost everything, that I would keep every little bit. So there you go. You have your front and back cover. Quick and easy. And that foil, I mean, you can do it with any cardstock. You can do it with decorative paper too. Cardstock is better because it's a little thicker. But it just, the foil just makes it just a little bit more luscious. So now I'm going to take my paper trimmer, and I'm taking 110-pound cardstock. I'm trying to move everything out of the way that's in the way. I'm taking 110-pound white cardstock, and all I did, it's 8.5 by 11. I cut it at 4 1/4 because the measurement on this is about 4.5 by 3.5. So I'm cutting a 1/4 inch off. So whatever die you would use of Eileen's, or if you just cut some mat board out on your own, you want to go about 1/4 inch smaller for your inserts. And what's cool about this particular, I'm going to get stuff out of the way, paper trimmer is it extends, and it has a cutter and a can't even think of the word, but like a bone folder, a scorer. So I'm going to take and put my paper in here. I want you guys to see. And this is, I'm going to go to 3 1/4 inches. And I'm putting my scorer down, and I'm just running that. I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to flip my paper, and I'm going to go to 6.5 inches, which is right there. And I'm going to score that. And then I'm going to flip it one more time. And I'm going to 9 1/4 inches. So I'm just adding 3.5 or 3 1/4 every time. And I'm scoring that. Now, if you wanted, you could just cut this off and not have this little extra right here. I chose to utilize that, but that is totally up to you. I'm going to do another one real quick. So 3 1/4. Flip it. You flip it because you fold the opposite way of which you score. And then at 6 1/2 and at 9 1/4. So for this one, I am going to just cut it off. So I'm going to show you either way. So I'm just going to cut that off. And it's nice to have that extended arm on there so that I'm able to just go all the way across. I do have some already done here. And so I scored this way, and you would think you fold this way, but you fold the opposite. So I'm just folding this like that and folding like that. So you can do as many of these as you want. You can have your accordion book as thick as you want. I used 3 of these sheets, but you can have it so it's very thick, so you can put as many in there as you want. And I put the ribbons in there just for a cute closure. So you can, when you're putting this together, you can do several things. Like if you don't have these little edges, you can take and leave a little tiny gap and put a piece of washi tape on both sides so that it folds. But I chose to use the little extra as a pocket. So I want to make sure this is going to go on one cover. And you want your folds going opposite. So I'm going to glue this together. And this is a valley and this is a mountain. That's the way I want it to go together, right? So I'm going to take and put some adhesive on both sides and at the bottom of this. So I'm going to open this up, grab my adhesive, and just put it at the bottom edge. It's going to be a very small pocket. If you wanted a bigger pocket, you could totally cut part of this off. It's all up to you. And I know this is the way I want it to go, and I'm just going to line these up. So from one side, you won't even really tell that there's a pocket. And on this side, you can see the pocket. And you're able to put little things in there. If you wanted to, I do have a trick for, I'm looking for an extra little piece of paper. If you wanted this to be thinner, if you wanted just a little bit of tape on the bottom there, you could take a piece of scrap paper and go half on the scrap paper and half on your pocket so that it isn't a 1/4 inch. It's more like 1/8 of an inch. And then you can open it up and just do it on the 2 edges. And that way it gives you a little bit more room in that pocket. Do you ever use glue to put the pages together? I do, Lenine, but because we're live and I want it to stick, I think a tape runner is just a better option for the live. Gina says that she's used both, but feels the tape holds better. Yeah, I think it depends what tape, what glue you're using. If I'm using glue, I have to let it sit overnight to really secure, to make sure that bond is good. I wouldn't use a glue gun because you get a ridge. But a tape runner is just so easy, you know? I mean, it's just so easy. So there you have pockets. I'm going to actually cut part of this off so I can show you a bigger pocket. So you can do anything, whoops, with these little panels. I mean, and then I could take this extra piece, which is the same size, and I could attach that. Now, I wouldn't put, even if I had another whole section, I wouldn't put it inside the valley because then it pushes it out. You can see it pushes it out just a little bit. But if you put it on the outside, then they're going to be the same size. You know, you don't want to make it extend. So by putting it in that valley, you're adding just a smidgen. And if you did that to a bunch of them, I mean, it's only about 1/16 of an inch. That's why it's very important to glue it to the outside, because you're not adding where that crease is. You're not adding anything, and you're just making sure it's at the same edge there. But that way, when you close it, then they're the same. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue it to this one. It's just one page. And it doesn't matter to me that it's the 1/4 inch of the tape. I want to make sure that's the same size. And just put that down. And then you have a bigger pocket. So you can put pockets, you can put whatever you want in there, and you can keep adding these. Like this one, I have a smaller pocket too. I could put a pocket on this side. I could cut this down and keep adding until you had it as big as you want. I'm going to finish this one, and I'm going to decorate the whole thing, or maybe I'll do a new one. Maybe I'll do that one in that blue and black for next week. But let me show you. I want to show you the ribbon first before I show you the inside. So I just use, I buy this Gwen Studios organza. I think it's like $11 for 100 yards. And I love it. I have it in black and white, and I use it for a lot of projects. But I just take about 2 feet twice, because I don't know how long or how many times I'm going to wrap it around, but I just cut it off. And then this is going to be what covers the inside cover. You could cut a separate piece, but this is great. This works just perfectly, and it covers all of that inside. But before I do that, I eyeball where the center is, and I put a piece of tape down, and then I put my ribbon in there. And then I would tape this to the inside cover. And that way I have my ribbon. And I do the same thing for the other side. I put the ribbon and put the cover on. And that way I have two pieces of ribbon that I'm able to wrap around to keep the accordion book closed. So there's my two pieces of ribbon. And I can wrap one way and one the other way. And I can wrap around. I cut this a little bit, but I can wrap as many times around as I want. I can put the bow in the center. I can put it on the side. I tend to do it a lot on the side. You can't see this white very good on here. So I'm going to bring it up close for you. But it just makes an easy closure. And depending upon how wide your ribbon is, you can, or how wide your book is, you can wrap this around as many or little times as you want. But it just keeps the book together and closed. And it's an easy closure. You can do other closures. You wouldn't have to use a closure. I like my books closed. And then in here, you can see, if I lift it up, you can see this is where the front cover is. And I took some of that extra because, of course, I had extra paper. And I cut it in a diagonal to create a little tiny pocket. And here's one of the little pockets I had. And you can decorate this in so many different ways. And this is, you can end going either way, but I ended so that you could flip the book. And then this was against the cover, like the front cover. And again, I did a little tiny corner pocket. And I have this little pocket. And it's just a fun little book. You can put little pictures in it. You can do whatever you want. I think this is really cool for like a junk journal. Everybody's making the junk journals. And the cool part about this is you have the ribbons for closure. So as you're adding things, and it becomes a little bit thicker, if you're adding a lot of ephemera or a lot of things, you could still wrap it closed and keep it closed. And you can also, before you would put it on both sides, you can make it as thick as you want by putting as many papers in there as you want. I only use 3. But you could use 6, you could use 9, because it's just going to have like this edge. It would just be double, triple, whatever. And it's just a fun little journal, right? I mean, you can do a lot with it. But next week, I'm going to show you how to embellish them and how to, you can ink up the edges. You can also, like I said, if you didn't want to do it so that you had the little pocket, you can use washi tape. You can use paper to connect these two together. It's another alternative. I like the little pockets, but you can do, there's so many things you can do with this. So I want to show you next week on my live all the different ways you can use to embellish this. And I think you're only limited by what's in your mind, right? I love these little books. I need to make a bunch to have for gifts. And these are like the perfect size to throw in your purse. I love little journals. It's just, I always like to have one with me for notes or whatever. But if you're taking a weekend trip, you could put your receipts in here. You could put little snapshots of, if you print out your pictures, you could put pictures in here of your trip, of your vacation, and it could be a memory or it can just be for whatever, but they do make great little gifts. I'm loving this project. Thank you, Karen. These little journals would be great for mini scrapbook of, oh, see, Rebecca and I were thinking the same thing. I didn't see that. I'm just going through them now. Bella Crafts Publishing, bless you, Lisa. Yes, get well soon. I know. It's nice to have her in the background and putting in some comments. Hi, Ann and Lisa. Sorry to hear Lisa is having a rough time. Yes, she is. I have been good taking care of the yard. Muscles are sore. Karen, I'm glad you're healing from your surgery too. Jeannie, just coming in. Is this something you can make by hand, or you do not have to have a die cut for it, Jeannie? I wanted to use one of Eileen's dies that I already had so that I could get more use out of it. But you can cut mat board into any shape you want. This is 4.5 by 3.5, but you can cut, with your paper trimmer, you can cut mat board. You have to go over it several times, turn it over and cut it. Or if you have a nice big heavy scissor or X-Acto knife, you can go ahead and cut it. But you can cut these into any shape and size you want. I, in particular, wanted something that was smaller than 6 by 6 so I could use my toner sheets. But one more thing I want to show you was, okay, so I did my journal this way, right? You could also do it this way. So like if you fold your papers this way, you could have it landscape. So what's cool about these is you can kind of decide for yourself the direction that you want everything to go. If you go this way, these little pockets, they're a little bigger. You only get 2 folds, but then you can put it together like this and you have a bigger little pocket. And the landscape way is very cute too. So I hope you guys try this. I just think it's super cute and super fun, very easy. And y'all know I do like quick and easy that doesn't necessarily look so quick and easy. And I love that die from Eileen, but it's not the one I have. I'll have to play with the others. I do have the mini album in the folio journal. Yeah, just use what you have. And I just thought if I used Eileen's die, for one thing, it would cut very easily. And I could make a bunch of covers. It was the right size for my toner sheets. And I was getting more use out of that particular die. Now, I have a bunch of Eileen's dies, and I have some of her older ones. And if any of you have the little Post-it note one, that's about 3.25 by 3.25. So it's like the perfect size. So just look at what you have. But if you don't have the dies, like I said, you can just cut out mat board. If you don't have mat board, you can use cereal boxes and you can double them up to make them thicker. I would use wet glue and put it on the side of the outside of the cereal box. So all the print was on one side and put the 2 printed sides together. So you wouldn't see that. But then you're going to cover it all anyhow. But that way, if you glue them together, they're going to have that sturdiness. It's not going to be as thick as mat board, but it's better than like cardstock, some cereal boxes, cracker boxes, there's all sorts of things you can use. But those are easier to cut if you're making your own and you want to cut something 3x3. You can cut that with your paper trimmer. But yeah, you can just put it together and you can do it any size you want. So you're not limited to Eileen's dies. I just wanted to make sure I was using her dies for something extra than what it was intended for. Thanks for showing this. It's definitely awesome. It is, and it's so easy. Depends on what kind of wet glue used. Use glue that is less water. Yeah, you want a good quality wet glue. And depending upon where you live, try different things out and see what works for you. You can also make top pockets. Yes, Lynn, there's so much you can do. Lisa says zip dry all the way. But, I would say Eileen's tacky glue. I would say Deco foil has a great white glue. There's a lot of great glues out on the market. So, but yeah, so you can use glue. You just have to have the time for it to dry. I wanted to use the permanent tape runner from EdTech because it is permanent. It takes a lot to get it apart. I mean, let me put this down for a minute and I'll show you. I mean, it is permanent does mean permanent. So let me take and see if I got, okay, so here's a piece of scrap paper and here's a little piece of scrap paper. So if you put this down and these aren't exactly the same length. I see this one's a little bit. Okay, so you put it down. It takes a bit to get that apart, and especially like I'm doing it right away, but it kind of ruins your paper when you try and take it apart. But sometimes you can't even get it apart. Like, let me see on here. So this is a pocket I just did, and it's much harder. And if I pull it too hard, I don't think I got the tape all the way to the end there, but if I pull it too hard, it's going to tear the paper, and you don't want that. And after you've torn this apart, the paper gets all bumpy, and you can put it back together, but it's not as nice because you can see right there where it's all kind of bumpy and stuff. So permanent, sometimes when I'm making a card, I'm using permanent. I can't even pull it up like this. So, but you can, but it kind of rips the paper. But if you wait a few minutes, it's harder. But if you pull it up, then you get, like I wouldn't use this in a book because it's all bumpy. I would have to cover it with something. So you can always fix your mistakes and cover it with a piece of decorative paper, so you can fix whatever you do that isn't what you want. Or as you're putting these together, if you put permanent tape on here and you didn't like it, just cut it right there, or cut it a little farther in and make another pocket. I mean, so there's all sorts of things you can do. And that's why I think these would be good for junk journals, because you can do anything you want. I use AdTech on all my cards, Lenine. Yes. Lenine, oh wait, looking forward to meeting you. Oh, you guys are going to Paper Ganza with Craft Roulette. Awesome. You guys enjoy. I was going to go, but it happens to be on the weekend. I have 2 of my grandkids the week before, and yeah. Lisa says, "If you leave it for 5 minutes, you won't be able to take it apart without tearing." Right. I mean, and sometimes, like I said, if I'm making a card and I put it down and it's crooked, and if I wanna pull it up, then it never comes up. Or it comes up horribly, you know? So, there is, I know Gina has a tape that is repositionable for a half hour. Love that when I'm making cards because, you want everything straight or as straight as you can get it. Laura Lee, I wanted to go to Paper Ganza so bad, but my husband and I hate flying. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you don't love to fly, that wouldn't be good. Paper Ganza is going to be super fun. You guys will meet Mary, of course, and you will meet Amanda, who is just so sweet. So I'm looking, I know Lisa was in here answering questions. I'm just, Lenine, if it sits for a while, it sets. Yes, it does. Glue is great for this, Lenine says. Boxes can be adhered together to make it thicker. Yeah. I mean, so you don't have to have the die. I was just, like I said, trying to get another use out of Eileen's dies, which I always think is great. If you have bought products and you can find other ways to use them, it makes it worth the investment you're making, I think. So, yeah. Let me see. I will go through the comments and answer any questions that Lisa didn't get. I'm sure she probably got them all, which it's nice to have her back behind the scenes. So I want to remind you guys, because I don't really see it in here, like, comment, and share hashtag Bella Crafts to be entered for next week's giveaway. And last week's giveaway, I did the yo-yos, and that was something that was requested by somebody. So if you guys have any request, if you want to see a particular craft or anything, let us know, because if we don't know how to do it, we could figure it out. We would know somebody who does, all of those fun things. So yeah, just we love to make you guys happy, and I'm so happy to have all of you here. But let me see. I'm going to go through and see if I see the winner in here. Lenine, I have a ton of Eileen's dies, and I love them. I love them too. Eileen does fabulous work. And remember, she's going to be on the pajama party with Tiffany and I at 9 o'clock Central Time tonight. So I don't think the winner is in here. But hashtag Bella Crafts, even if you're watching from YouTube, Lisa gathers all of those hashtags and puts everybody into her randomizer. She did not have her crown on when I saw her before the live, because she's the queen of giveaways. But I'll make sure when she comes back, everybody can see her crown. For those of you that weren't part of BellaCon, we did send Lisa a crown as a surprise. Jean had the idea. It was Jean's idea. And we sent it to her. And I said, I'm not going to say anything. And then when it finally did come, I made her wait to open it so we could have her on air. So that is a fabulous video clip. Might have to grab that little clip and just share that. Laura Lee, I will be at the pajama party. I appreciate when I have that to look forward to, and when my husband works late. Yeah, see, my husband said to me when Tiffany and I were talking about bringing the pajama parties back, because the pajama parties originated back in 2010 when Tiffany started Cool to Craft. And we went live at noon Central Time. It was a new platform. nobody had heard of going live and doing this kind of thing. And she would have, during the day, she had 3 or 4 people on sharing a craft. Well, we started pajama parties about a year into that. And what's fun about the pajama parties that we brought back, if you guys have something to share, we'll bring you on camera. And you have a minute to share what you're creating. And then if you have more stuff to share, you'll go out and you can come back in if there's time. Becca, I'll be falling asleep on the couch at 9 p.m. That's because it's 10 p.m. your time, Becca, not 9 p.m. So request, how do you use Eileen? I know, Kayleen, you've asked that, and I saw my box maker in here. So maybe that's something I'll share on at a pajama party night. So let me think about it. Yes, I do have the box maker. It's in my drawer. So anyways, the winner from last week is Maria Sheehan. And Maria, just send me a message and you will win your choice of ebooks that we have. And I'll get that right out to you. I got one of my whatnots in the mail yesterday. Yay, Lenine. I'm trying to see. Fun. The old pajama parties were so much fun. Glad to see them come back. Yes, Lenine used to watch them back, I mean, it's been not quite 15 years, 14 years maybe for the pajama party. And I thought that would be a fun way because Tiffany had left the industry for a bit, and it was a good way for her to come back and reintroduce herself to everybody. I mean, the girl has 94,000 on her YouTube following her. I was thrilled when Lisa and I broke 1,000 because we don't use YouTube like we should. We are changing that now. So, yeah, but she has 94,000 that follow her. And she's been back for about a year, and she's gained, because she was at 92,000 and she's at she gained 2,000 in that time. Nights are great. I'm always home. Days are hard sometimes. Days are hard. My husband said to me when I told him we were bringing the pajama parties back and they were on Wednesday night, and he's like, "You're going to do another live on Wednesday?" And I said, well, "You're in bed. It's okay, because he gets up at 5 a.m. So he's usually in bed by 9. I said, "What does it matter? We're always home. This way, if Lisa and I both do our lives and I do it Wednesday night, I've already prepped. I have my setup done because I don't have you would think I would have just a dedicated place all set up always for lives, and I don't. Someday. But that way, my cameras are already set up. Everything's done. Yeah, I think, and I like Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. So I'm glad it works for most people. I know it does not work for Isabel because 9 o'clock is about 3 o'clock in the morning for her, I think. So unless, Isabel, you're like me and you don't sleep well, you might be up at 3 a.m. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. I will be back for sure next week. Lisa, hopefully, will be back in the background. Not sure if she'll be in person. She's shaking her head no, saying, "No, I will not be in person. I will be in the background." It's the best she can do right now. But she is healing. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll see those of you that can be there tonight. And take some time to craft because it is good for your soul. And Lisa knows that. So she has to get better so she can really start crafting again. Isabel, you're in bed during the pajama. I figured you would be. But you can always watch the replays on our YouTube channel because we're doing giveaways there too. So